Well, in the U.S., there's certainly more effort now to be able to increase swimmers, and part of that's driven by studies that have shown that about somewhere between 1/3 to 2/3 of Americans are afraid of water to some extent. Now, with obesity rates increasing, it's really important that people are more active, and when people haven't been active for a number of years, or as we get older, there's really limited opportunities to get physically active, but getting in the water is one ideal one. So between government, industry, insurance companies, and people, there's much more focus on people being more active, and water's an ideal way to do it for our society today. Yeah, there has been some research to try to quantify how many people are afraid of the water. The Centers for Disease Control in the United States have done a study, and they found that about 37% of Americans admit that either they don't know how to swim or they're afraid of the water. Studies by Gallup have shown that those numbers are actually higher, that about 46% of Americans say they're afraid of the deep end of the swimming pool, and that number goes up to about 64% of being afraid of deep open bodies of water like the ocean behind us or lakes. You know, having more swimmers is really beneficial in two very important ways. First off, it gives an avenue for people to live a healthier life in a way that they could do into their 90s and even beyond if they're lucky to live that long. The second thing that it does is that for the pool and spa industry, we comply to laws of economics. And there's some things that are complex about our industry, and there's some things that are simple. And if we could increase demand for people using water, whether it's a residential application or a commercial application, that ultimately leads to growth for the pool and spa industry. You know, there's a lot more data today to be able to look at obesity and the consequence of people being inactive. We do this a lot more, and kids do this a lot more rather than this and this kind of thing. And what we're seeing in the United States, and a recent study that was published in The Lancet show that there is not a country in the world where obesity rates have gone down on average over the last 33 years. Now, the U.S. does have a higher obesity rate than Australia. Those numbers are ranging in the about 30 to 40% of the population, depending on the state, but Australia is not far behind. And when you look at increases in obesity rate due to inactivity and diet, and you also look at an aging population, we're on the verge of really a very challenging personal time on the consequences that could happen with people, but also a very challenging financial time on being able to help provide health care to people when they've been inactive and as we're getting older. In the U.S., they estimate that about 10% of the total health care costs in the United States is a result of diseases that are a consequence of inactivity. And Australia is on the verge of approaching that too. So being able to have greater activity is going to be critical, and there's going to be a lot of influences trying to make that happen.